evening, we bring you the latest in the world of sports. I'm Diego Dario.
We give you the conversations you want to hear from your favorite icons and athletes. I'm Zihir Basho. In tonight's Game Plan, we'll break down the historic run of Team Philippines in the 2022 AVC Cup for women. We'll also go through a brand new edition of the shot list as we look ahead to Game 5 of the PBA Philippine Cup Finals.
And we'll get some updates on the ongoing match between Gilas Pilipinas and Saudi Arabia for the FIBA Basketball World Cup Asian Qualifiers. Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game.
It's been an unforgettable campaign for Team Philippines in the 2022 AVC Cup for women as we got our best finish yet in the tournament. The country wrapped up its campaign in 6th place after bowing down to Chinese Taipei in straight sets. To break down that match and more, we have with us volleyball analyst Ayel Estranero.
Ayel, welcome back to the game. And first of all, nung nalaman ko na si Ayel ang guest natin today, syempre nagmaroon ako.
Parang matching na tayo today.
I like it.
Katipunan fight. Katipunan fight.
I like that.
Alright, Ayel, so you covered the game earlier. It was Team Philippines against Chinese Taipei. I think that was battle for fifth place. And you covered that. How was that game? And, you know, I saw the first set, it was really close.
No, there were a lot of sparks for Team Philippines in terms of blocking, in terms of serving, in terms of attacking. But really, Chinese Taipei came in prepared. They challenged Philippines in terms of their floor defense and good serving. So, medyo nawalan lang konti ng first ball and floor defense yung Team Philippines. But there were a lot of sparks. But, you know, in the third set, they tried what they did in their previous game against Australia. They put Tots Carlos in the opposite side and put Rose Vargas on the open spiker possession. So they were trying to do a remake of what they did in the Australia game. So, but it didn't work well for them. But also, I think it was already fatigue setting in, especially that they've been playing for 7 days straight, played big against Thailand but lost, and played 5 sets just yesterday against Australia. So imagine gaano na sila kapagod in today's game.
That's right. I mean, if anything, the silver lining is this is the best place finish yet for Team Philippines, and it's very exciting for Team Philippines on what's ahead, diba? I guess going back to the whole tournament, siguro Ayel, I'm gonna ask you, what's the significance of how it was Creamline who bannered Team Philippines in the cup?
I think the biggest win really is, Creamline, Team Philippines showing what chemistry can do, what chemistry can bring in terms of giving better results, putting Team Philippines in a better ranking. Like what you said earlier, it's their best finish in the AVC. They finished 9th out of 10 teams in 2018, and now actually the best in the 6th place.
And would you consider this a win? I think I would consider this a win for Team Philippines. I mean, this is a great finish,
it's
right?
a big win for Team Philippines and a big win for Creamline also as a club team. Like imagine how much they learned individually and as a team during this season.
And can you also explain to us, they played multiple games in multiple days, right? Maybe back-to-back, triple back-to-back games. Kamusta yung experience na yun? You as an analyst, nakikita mo yung players, they're fighting through every game.
And that's the reason why they had an emotional win against Australia. Siguro yun na yung pagod. Alam mo yun, naramdaman nila yung struggles nila, yung challenges nila na, it's really paying off for them. But more than that, I saw how they adjusted really well. Not just in a short time, they have to prepare for the opponent the next day. But the in-game adjustment, which is more important, no? Also, let's mention how Coach Erwin Meneses has been leading them well in terms of, yung adjustments sa rotation, yung adjustments sa depensa, those small reminders that really created a great impact for their team.
I mean, and definitely to give them confidence. Kasi this isn't a local tournament anymore. This is like, you're playing against national teams of
international
countries in Asia. So it's really a huge factor. Definitely a huge learning opportunity for Team Creamline. How about, let's talk about the players who stepped up. You mentioned a couple of names. Maybe let's talk about your teammate, Tots Carlos.
Tots Carlos in the start of the tournament really struggled with the absence of Eliza Valdez. She was forced to be put into the open hitter position Meanwhile, she's a natural opposite
Correct.
hitter. So,
You're right.
sa atake siguro, she was there, but with defense, first ball, hindi siya sanay. So, we saw how really she struggled, but she found her footing, scored 26 big points against Australia, adjusted well, but also it's a factor because she was transferred in the opposite side. So nakita natin how effective she is really sa opposite, but tried her best really in the open hitter side.
And Ayel, since we're talking about Tots Carlos, UP fight, I mean, we're all from UP, right? Kamusta naman yung relationship nyo, kayo ni Tots? You go way back, nakita namin yung social media post nyo.
Yeah.
How was that relationship look like for you guys? Parang proud na proud kayo sa isa't isa.
It was just really special, especially because, we talked a lot, and I know how much she wanted, how much she dreamt of this national team experience, and she stayed patient. So just seeing her play in the international scene right now, carrying that flag on her chest, just really, it's not just me who's proud of her. A lot of people are proud and really look forward in seeing her play for the national team.
I mean, I wanted to go back to that point, how she was struggling playing outside position. But game 1, a lot of fans also saw it. But oh my gosh, game 2, bawing-bawi talaga. A huge adjustment on her part. And you mentioned earlier, before we went live, that this is her first stint playing
grabe,
for
no?
the national team. So, wow, really huge growth for Tots.
Exactly.
And for other players who stepped up also for Team Philippines was Michelle Gumabao. She acted as the team captain in the opening game. Of course, Alyssa Valdez out because of dengue, right? But can you talk about Michelle Gumabao and her stepping up for the team?
No, I'm not surprised that she actually stepped up. Her maturity, experience was really instrumental to their wins, but really her leadership, not just in scoring, but also in keeping the team intact, was really integral for their, extending games and really winning more games for the national team.
All right, how about let's move on to another captain, Gia Morado de Guzman.
And pareho pa kayong setter. No?
Yes.
Yeah. How important is she?
Super important for the national team. We talked about Tots Carlos, we talked about Michelle Gumabao, there's also Gemma Galanza.
Correct.
They're only able to build that confidence and play the way they're playing in terms of offense because of Gia de Guzman. Very integral yung setting niya, especially because iba't ibang system yung kalaban nila.
Right.
And they're one of the smallest teams this AVC. So ang tatangkad talaga ng kalaban nila. So, her decision making and her creativity in terms of set plays was really the reason why they were able to achieve better offense for the national team.
And again, great
Really?
outing for the Team Philippines, also individually and as a team. And Ayel, thank you so much for the time. Great to
Yes.
have you back here in the studio.
Super
Thank you so
bitin,
much.
but thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And when we return, we'll go through a fresh new edition of the Shot List as we look ahead to Game 5 of the PBA Philippine Cup Finals. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game. Welcome back to the game. The PBA Philippine Cup Finals is down all tied up at 2 apiece after the TNT Tropang Giga topped the San Miguel Beermen 100-87. With the series back to square one, it's time for a brand new edition of the Shot List. And of course, welcome to the game, PBA Rush Anchor and Mr. Shoot First himself, Mikee Reyes. How are you, brother?
Long time no see, bro.
Long time no see. We just covered the game at 1 a.m. today.
Naka-recover na ba kayo, guys?
Okay na, okay
Okay
na.
na. Ready na.
Alright, so as usual, pag nandito si Mikee, meron tayong shot list and Z will take us through it.
Yeah, and very hot titong mga
hot
binigay ni
takes
Mikee.
no?
Diba? Okay, he gave us a pair for each team. So let's go through SMB first. Number 1. The Beermen will lead after the first quarter.
Why did you say that, Mike?
Well, in the first 3 games, the Beermen were leading after 3 quarters. I felt like in the first of Game 4, in which I covered, so napanood ko yung Game 4, especially the start, Junmar wasn't aggressive, Marshall wasn't hitting shots, CJ wasn't also hitting shots, and I feel like in a game like that, there was a time na 8 points lang sila late in the first, and for a talented team like San Miguel, you know that was a fluke. That's not going to happen again. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from what TNT did in that first quarter, in which they led by double figures. But you know, law of averages, you know that it's gonna somewhat go back to San Miguel, especially sa mga ganong simula.
And Mike, so far, so good ka dito sa shot list mo. Parang wala ka pang
Parang
minutes.
kabado ako kada bumabalik dito.
You do what you do best, you shoot,
Oo,
right?
magbabound na ako magkamali eh.
Alright, pero pag yung SMB, hindi mo naman sinasabi na mananalo sila. They will just take that first quarter.
They're gonna take that first quarter. And I also feel like they need to establish themselves, especially Junmar early. Kasi nangyari nung Game 4, parang second half pa talaga nila establish Junmar sa ilalim.
And for the second item on the list?
Let's go straight to the second item, which is SMB will contain RR Pogoy to 15 points or less.
So defense naman to for SMB.
15 points din. Masyadong straight to the point.
Well, he is averaging 23, 24 points a game in 4 games in the finals. I mean, Diego, you know how tough it is to score. Period, in the PBA. What more 20 plus in every game of the finals. And we know that RR Pogoy is one of the easiest scorers in the game.
He's a bucket.
We know that he can give you buckets and he can score on any area of the floor. But at some point, San Miguel will have to adjust. And especially CJ, Marshall, whoever is guarding RR Pogoy.
But also, if you take a look at this, RR Pogoy is also probably shooting like this because the defense is focused on Jason Castro, on Mikee Williams. So you think SMB will try to focus more on RR Pogoy?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a Mikee Williams show, obviously, in the playoffs and in the elimination round. He is the leading scorer of the league. But again, at some point, man, you have to decide, okay, RR's killing us, RR's, they've tied the series because of RR Pogoy's dominance on the offensive end. So they might just focus a little bit more on RR Pogoy.
So Max, I'll play a little bit defense on you here kasi perfect ka pa sa shot list.
Depende sa pala.
Kung nanalo ang TNT, is RR Pogoy running for Finals MVP?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, wow.
For sure.
So
In a
if TNT
heartbeat.
wins,
Oh,
sure
for sure.
MVP si RR
Well,
Pogoy.
Jason, there's someone named Jason Castro still in the TNT lineup. But after Jason, and you know what, honestly, he has been the most consistent.
Yeah.
Talking about RR Pogoy, yes, Jason Castro at 26 yesterday, also in Game 1, obviously he was the hero. But when you talk consistency, even in those games that they lost, it has been RR Pogoy.
Alright, so we talked about San Miguel, their offense in the first quarter and also defensively, their adjustments. Let's go on to TNT.
Alright.
Z, what do we have for the third
Kabila
item?
naman tayo, we talked about their go-to player, TNT naman. How about number 3 is TNT will get a Mikee Williams game.
Ooh.
Yeah. Mikee hasn't been Mikee. Mikee Williams, guys.
Hindi Mikee Reyes.
Kasi
ako
he
ganito
has
na talaga
been.
ako. Ganito na talaga ako. But Mikee Williams, yes, I mean, he hasn't played bad. He's always hit double figures. In Game 1, he actually had 21. In Game 2 and Game 3, he only averaged 12. Yesterday, he had 15. But we really haven't seen a Mikee Williams game yet in the finals. And when you talk Mikee Williams game, you know what I'm talking about. Like, just straight buckets, just straight tough shots. He will take those tough shots and he will make those tough shots. And I feel like Mikey needs to adjust a little bit more. He has been settling for those outside jumpers as early as the first. I mean, as a scorer, you know this, Diego. It's great that you get points muna na madali.
Yep.
You get your legs under you, you
See
get
the
your
ball go
stroke,
through the
you get
hoop.
your rhythm first, and then you suddenly take those tough shots. But you know what? The talent of Mikey Williams is undeniable naman eh. So I just feel like what I said earlier, law of averages, there will come a point that Mikey Williams will explode in the series.
And that just goes to show how amazing Mikey Williams is as a
Right.
player, because he had 15 points, 3 rebounds, and 6 assists, and we called it a bad game
Yep,
for
that's a
Game
bad
4,
game.
right? That's how
It's not
impressive
him.
Mikey Williams is. But when you talk about Mikey, do you think that he's not the closer? Jason Castro is the closer here for TNT.
Well, Jason Castro will continue to be the closer until he says na ayoko na.
Ikaw
the way
naman,
the way he's been in with Gilas na
Yeah.
ayoko na maglaro, sila na muna mga bata. But right now, it's still Jason Castro's team. But you know that Jason Castro will be more than welcome to see Mikey get back on track with those shots and those those situations wherein you can just give the ball to
Yeah.
Mikey, let him do his thing, let him dance and contribute.
And let's go to the more controversial item here, Z.
Okay, let's
1-0
get to
ako
it.
dyan.
Nako guys, ito abangan nyo na. Marka nyo na, itag nyo na yung draft
Oh, si Mikey.
Kasi sa number 4 niyang take, TNT will take game number 5.
Ooh. Why? Why do you say that, Mike?
Why, Mikey?
You know, Coach Chot has been 2-0 in the
Alright.
finals. When he's here, they win. I'm not saying na hindi kakayanin ng SMB si Coach Chot, obviously, but they're just a different animal with Coach Chot
Yeah.
on the bench. I've called this already. TNT will win in 7. But I feel like in game number 5, TNT will get this and then SMB will get game number 6. I don't like the disclaimer lang ako para hindi magalit yung mga kaibigan natin sa SMB. But I have to do this. This is my job. I have to predict. I have to take a
Nako.
risk here and I'm taking TNT in game 5.
And we'll take a look at that.
Yes.
Titignan natin sa Wednesday because TNT will be trying to get that win against SMB.
And we'll
Let's see
see
if Mikey...
your predictions will come true, Mikey. But don't go anywhere, Mikey, because after we take a quick break from the PBA, because when we return, we'll hear some updates on the ongoing match between Gilas Pilipinas and Saudi Arabia. So stay tuned. You're watching The Game.
watching the game. Gilas Pilipinas is left with one last game in the FIBA World Cup Asian Qualifiers. Joining us live from Mall of Asia Arena is our correspondent, Gretchen Ho. Gretch, what's the latest there as Gilas goes up against Saudi Arabia?
Boom! Excitement is at an all-time high here in front of a sold-out crowd at the Mall of Asia Arena. Just imagine, 2 years or more than 2 years into the pandemic, and this is the first time we're seeing this kind of crowd cheer for our Gilas boys. Now, as early as last week, tickets were already sold out, even as Patron VIP tickets reached a high of 10,000 pesos. Fans flew in from different parts of the country just to witness the historic first game of Clarkson at home. This is the NBA Sixth Man of the Year sixth game with the Philippines, with the first four happening in the 2018 Jakarta Asian Games. The fifth game happened just a few days ago in Beirut against Lebanon. Odds are up in this game versus 80th ranked Saudi Arabia, as 30th ranked Philippines is expected to dominate, with Saudi's leading player, 6'10" center Mohamed Al-Suwailem, still not in their lineup. In 2021, Gilas also beat Saudi Arabia by 16, with Coach Tab Baldwin at the helm and Dwight Ramos as well as 30 Ravenna leading the fray. Not much changes boom in the Gilas Pilipinas lineup, just a switch from forward Carl Tamayo to PBA 2019 top draft pick Roosevelt Adams, who is making his debut with Gilas. Tamayo is on a flight to Korea to join the UP Fighting Maroons to play some practice games with the KBL teams. Gilas, meanwhile, is taking this as an opportunity to test the mettle of the stretch four forward. Now, it's 1 year to go before the FIBA World Cup, and the local organizing committee is also taking this as their dry run for the World Cup happening in 2023. Now, Diego, Z, we saw the first quarter, kind of slow start for Gilas Pilipinas, but we're glad Jordan Clarkson is making his threes. He ended that first quarter with a clutch ankle-breaking three to the delight of the fans here. I'm excited to get back to the game because I feel like they're just trying to get the nerves out, not trying to get used to people back here again, and it's nice to see everybody put on their basketball selves and show some passion out there in the stands.
Gretch, thank you so much for that report. That was Gretchen Ho reporting live from the Mall of Asia Arena. Catch the ongoing match between Gilas Pilipinas and Saudi Arabia live on One Sports Plus, Signal Play, and Smart Giga Play.
All right, don't go anywhere because we're staying on the hard court. But shifting gears back to the PBA, Junmar Fajardo claimed another Best Player of the Conference title like he has done several times in his career. However, we can't help but let our imaginations run wild. So, Mr. Shoot First, Mikee Reyes, we're asking him who is most likely to challenge Junmar's BPC title race in the future.
Ooh, this one's gonna be tough. I mean, we haven't seen anyone like Junmar, right? Mike?
Sure.
Can you, first, before we go to the players, can you talk about how dominant Junmar Fajardo is in the PBA?
Well, 9 Best Player of the Conference awards.
lang naman.
9 lang
in
naman.
the last 8 years. 6 MVPs in the last 7 years. I believe there was only 1 year na hindi siya nakapag-MVP.
that was
But
an
only
injury
because
year,
he
right?
was injured.
yes.
So, safe to say the last decade has been dominated by Junmar Fajardo. So I don't know why you put me on this seat and actually ask me who's gonna beat Junmar Fajardo, because history
it?
says wala pa talaga nakakatalo kay Junmar.
So you gave us this list of future players that can probably win the Best Player of the Conference also.
Wait
And
lang,
we'll say all.
Disclaimeran mo naman yung mga fans ni Scotty.
Bakit? Kasi nanalo na si
Future
Scotty.
to
Future.
So,
Okay.
wala mo ng Scotty, wala mo ng Japet. Disclaimer mo, baka magalit
So
mga
future to, yung mga
kabarangay
bata
sa akin.
to, yung mga bata pa to. And we'll
Yes.
say all the names. Who are the names on
Alright.
the list, Z?
There are 3 athletes on this list. 1, Calvin Oftana. 2, Aaron Black. And 3, Robert Bolick.
Ooh, medyo hot takes to. But as you mentioned, puro mga bata to,
Yes.
future.
Disclaimer.
Let's talk about Calvin Oftana first.
Yeah, I feel like Calvin Oftana is on the rise. He had a great rookie season, although he was derailed by injuries in his second conference.
Yeah.
But this past conference, man, he has really taken that starting role that I don't want to say the primary offensive role because Kevin Alas was there, but that he's on the rise. And once you're given the confidence, especially by a coach Yang Giao, you know that there's the only way is up.
Yeah.
And when you talk Calvin, he was once an NCAA MVP coming
That's
off
right.
the bench. Na hindi niya sinubukan, hindi siya nag-stat pad. what more now that this team is actually given to him aside from Kevin?
And medyo nakakalimutan nga yun ng fans, no? 16, 8, and almost 3 assists this season. Let's move on to the next player, my guy, Aaron Black. 14, 4, and 4 all-around performance this conference for AB.
I just feel like AB has that motor to play all games of the season.
Yeah.
He doesn't really take, he doesn't take
Doesn't slow
breaks.
down.
Yeah.
He doesn't slow down. He's young. He has the youth. He has the energy. He has the legs. So that's yung upside ni Aaron Black, especially when you talk about a confidence.
And last guy on the
Alright,
list, Z?
Robert Bolick.
Ooh.
I don't know anyone in the league, honestly, who has a bigger usage rate than Robert Bolick.
He has the
what
ball
he
all the
means
time, yeah.
for Northport is what Junmar means for San Miguel. That's why I believe if there's one guy, maybe it's Robert Bolick.
Okay, we'll check these out on Wednesday and in the future. Gigs and Mikey, thank you. Alam ko, everybody's looking forward to the game, so let's cut it. Thank you, Mike, for coming and giving us your insight and predictions.
Thank you, brother.
All right, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Zihir Basho.
I'm Diego Dario, and this has been The Game.